Now we proceed with the next question. Bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. What is the difference between accidentally breaking one's fast and doing so forgetfully? What is the difference between accidentally breaking one's fast and doing so forgetfully? So I was slightly confused when I read this question because this question had never occurred to me before. And then I suspected, and rightfully so, that this question comes from the perspective of the Hanafi school, meaning that the person who asked this question probably asks because they understand the rules pertaining to fasting from the Hanafi perspective, or they were taught as such, and they would like to know the Shafi'i perspective. The fundamental reason for that is, in the Hanafi school, the kafara, the expiation for breaking the fast, or the expiation for breaking the fast deliberately, is treated the same whether one breaks one's fast through sexual intimacy or through deliberate eating and drinking. In the Shafi'i school, this is not the case, right? So in the Shafi'i school, if one breaks one's fast deliberately, it's of course still sinful, but the expiation only becomes an issue. It only becomes owed, right? One is only liable to pay the expiation if the fast was broken through physical intimacy, not through usual eating and drinking. So with that said, I'll answer the question from the Shafi'i madhab's perspective, inshallah ta'ala, I'll try my best. However, the distinction isn't relevant in the Shafi'i school in this sense. So let's look at it. So yes, there are 3 ways that one can break the fast, strictly speaking from the Hanafi perspective. Then yes, the same thing would apply in the Shafi'i perspective. There's still 3 ways that one can break one's fast. But because the outcomes are essentially the same with at least 2 of them, we don't categorize them as 3 separate ways. In the Shafi'i madhab, there's either deliberately or there's accidentally, forgetfully, right? That's a 1 and 2 option there. So A, deliberately, B, accidentally or mistakenly, and then C, forgetfully. طيب. So is there a distinction? Let's look at it. A, deliberately breaking the fast. Breaking one's fast deliberately requires a make-up fast, and that's it. But if it was through sexual intercourse, then it also requires the expiation. What is the expiation? Inshallah, we'll fit that in towards the tail end of this answer. The criterion for things which invalidate the fast in the Shafi'i school is essentially وصول العين إلى الجوف من منفذ مفتوح. For a substance, when we say substance, we mean something that is discernible with the naked eye, right? A substance, not the trace of a substance, not a microscopic particle of a substance, but an actual substance, reaching the body cavity through an open passageway, right? Reaching the body cavity through an open passageway. That is, in essence, what breaks the fast in the Shafi'i school. And then this would be, in other words, the deliberate introduction of anything besides air or saliva into the body cavity, which would break the fast. If the person fasting does so absent-mindedly or under compulsion, it does not break the fast. So this is why there's only these 2 situations. If not a substance, then sexual intercourse, that would break one's fast. And the third thing is orgasm or ejaculation that is reached through one's deliberate actions, such as touching, kissing, caressing, etc. All of that, if there's an orgasm as a result of that, that would also break one's fast. So there's only those 3 things. Substance reaching the body cavity from an open passageway, sexual intercourse, or orgasm that is brought about by one's own actions, not by thinking and, where there's no action. So there's no difference in relation to that. Then we ask, okay, what does not break the fast? What does not break the fast? The fast remains valid if any of the things that are done absent-mindedly, in other words, not remembering the fast, or out of ignorance that doing the things which break the fast are unlawful, whether this is due to being a new Muslim or to being born and raised far from Islamic scholars or under compulsion. So in all of those cases, it would not be considered to break the fast. It was accidental, it was forgetful, etc. It wouldn't break the fast. And further than that, the fast is not broken by involuntary vomiting, having a wet dream, or orgasm as a result of thinking or looking at something, right, without having the intention for it to bring about that. Some water reaching the body cavity as a result of rinsing out the mouth and nose during wudu, provided that one was not excessive in one's usage. And then saliva carrying down some food particles from between one's teeth, provided this is after having cleaned between them. And then gathering saliva in the mouth and swallowing it, bringing the saliva as far forward as the tongue but not to the lips, and then swallowing it. This will not break the fast. And then coughing up phlegm from the throat and then spitting it out. That would not break the fast, spitting it out. The arrival of dawn when there is food in one's mouth, which one spits out. The arrival of dawn when one is engaged in physical intimacy and one immediately disengages. That would not break the fast. Or somebody who sleeps or is unconscious all day. That wouldn't break the fast, provided that they are conscious or awake for at least a moment of the day. Okay? Then the final point there is there anything involuntary? Is there anything involuntary that could break the fast? Yes, there are. Insanity, even for a moment. But that person would not have to make up for the day. Being unconscious the entire day, if it's not the person's own doing, they would not have to make up for the day. The appearance of menstruation or postnatal bleeding, that breaks the fast. It's involuntary, but they would have to make up for the day. So those are the various cases. But as you can see, as far as accidental and forgetful, there's no distinction. Deliberate, yes, there's a distinction. But even there, if it's deliberate and through sexual intercourse, the kafara takes place. If it's deliberate but not through sexual intercourse, the day needs to be made up. Only that one day. And there is no kafara beyond that. But that doesn't mean that we make light of breaking the fast deliberately in the Shafi madhab. It's just a perspective as to when the kafara comes into play. And remember that kafara, that expiation is quite severe. Fasting for 60 consecutive days, because there's no valid slavery for us to emancipate. So fasting for 60 consecutive days is not a light task. It's not an easy task. So let us take note of the severity of that, and Allah knows best. La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.